Saluton from BA. This is a Rorschach Multilateral update from the 27th of May 2025, a summary of what's going down in the world's major multilateral institutions. First up this week, on Sunday the 25th, the UN's World Food Programme sounded the alarm about the dire situation in Gaza. They urged for a steady daily influx of aid trucks to prevent widespread hunger as the danger of starvation for civilians grows. While a few supply trucks have made it through recently, it's just a fraction of what's needed for the more than 2 million people relying entirely on external help. Crossings in and out have been mostly shut since early March, and the limited aid that has arrived doesn't come close to meeting the massive demand. The program emphasized that consistent and safe distribution inside Gaza is crucial to address the escalating food emergency. Meanwhile, on Tuesday the 20th, at a UN General Assembly meeting, attention turned to North Korea's internal repression and its connection to the country's military ambitions. Two defectors shared their stories. One recounted her father's death from hunger while resources were funneled into the military, and another described the execution of friends for watching South Korean TV shows. Human rights groups highlighted how forced labor and illicit activities fund North Korea's weapons programs. While many nations called for accountability, North Korea dismissed the session, as is typical when the UN criticizes the country. On Thursday the 22nd, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, announced that in the first quarter of 2025, its member countries experienced a significant slowdown in the growth of the money supply, or as the neoliberals metaphorically call it, quote, economic growth, unquote, with the GDP rising by just 0.1%, a sharp decline from a 0.5% increase in the previous quarter. Overall, 17 OECD countries reported slower growth, with 4 experiencing negative rates. Year-on-year, the OECD's GDP growth stood at 1.6%, down from 1.9% in the previous quarter. Also on Thursday the 22nd, NATO dispatched fighter jets in response to Russian bombers flying near allied NATO airspace. The Russian aircrafts, flying without proper identification and communication, prompted NATO to act swiftly to ensure regional security. The NATO scrambling of fighter jets comes at the same time as Russia's consistent attack on Kyiv and other Ukrainian cities with rockets and drones. NATO countries are trying to work out a way to end the war, but often disagree on how it should be done. Now on to some health updates. On Saturday the 24th, the World Health Organization renewed its partnership with the African Union to boost healthcare across Africa. They signed a fresh agreement aiming to support universal health coverage and strengthen health systems throughout the continent. The World Health Organization already has extensive operations in Africa, frequently collaborating with governments and partners to implement vaccination campaigns and improve disease surveillance. Additionally, the organization provides technical assistance and policy guidance to promote universal health coverage and address health challenges in the region. More on health on Friday the 23rd at a UNAIDS meeting. Global health experts warned that HIV prevention is falling way behind. Even though there are powerful new tools like long-acting injectables that nearly wipe out the risk of infection, budget cuts are getting in the way. The world is seeing over 1 million new cases a year, which is 3 times higher than the goal for 2025. The head of the organization said that if action isn't taken fast, the world could be looking at millions more infections and deaths by the end of the decade. On the same day, the International Labour Organization announced it helped Jordan design a new law aiming to modernize labor regulation and bring it in line with global standards. New initiatives like a cooperative development fund and a training-focused institute are also in the works to support growth and innovation. The changes are designed to make cooperatives more democratic, better governed, and more accessible to youth and people with disabilities. Moving east, on Thursday the 22nd, the UN Environmental Programme announced that it had helped Kyrgyzstan roll out an 800,000-hectare ecological corridor linking key protected areas. This move aims to give species like snow leopards and their prey more room to roam, especially as their habitats shift. Kyrgyzstan has a diverse ecosystem, but environmental issues such as pollution have made protecting it difficult. The UN Environmental Programme has helped Kyrgyzstan improve its environmental issues in the past, primarily by training government staff and updating laws to be in line with international standards. It also backed the creation of a large ecological corridor to protect wildlife. In some tourism areas, the organization helped build waste facilities and create green jobs. Meanwhile, on Monday the 26th, the 46th Summit of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations started in Kuala Lumpur. Leaders are diving into tough topics like the US putting steep tariffs on Asian exports. Malaysia, as a current chair, is hoping to boost regional teamwork and attract investment, while also discussing issues surrounding concerns about aggression from China. On another note, on Thursday the 22nd, at a meeting of the Organization of American States, or OAS, the US urged the organization to step up efforts to tackle Haiti's escalating gang violence. With a Kenya-led mission struggling due to limited resources, the US is looking to the OAS for a more active role. The situation in Haiti is dire, with gangs controlling a significant portion of the capital and violence spreading. The US has suggested that the OAS could coordinate regional support, but the organization currently lacks a formal mandate for such operations. Discussions are ongoing, with the US pushing for a collaborative approach to restore stability in Haiti. On to energy news. On Friday the 23rd, Kazakhstan announced it is on track to surpass its 2025 oil production target of 96.2 million tons, which means it is exceeding the quota imposed by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries Plus. The Energy Ministry has pledged to offset this by reducing cumulative output by April 2026, but balancing national interests with alliance obligations remains a challenge. Shifting gears, on Thursday the 22nd, the International Monetary Fund announced it had made progress on a $630 million loan for Chad to help stabilize the country's economy. The agreement, still awaiting final approval, aims to tackle Chad's budget shortfall. With oil revenues declining and regional instability on the rise, the funds are expected to assist in implementing reforms and boosting public services. The program also seeks to reduce Chad's fiscal deficit from over 4% of its GDP to an average of 1.5% over the program period. Chad is in urgent need of the funds as poverty rates in the country are rising and incomes are falling, with food insecurity being an increasingly large issue. Additionally, Chad borders several nations with wars going on, including Sudan, the Central African Republic, and Libya. These conflicts have led to a significant influx of refugees into Chad, particularly from Sudan, where the civil war has forced hundreds of thousands to flee across the border. Managing this refugee population requires considerable humanitarian assistance, healthcare, housing, and security, all of which strain Chad's already limited fiscal resources. And to wrap up this edition, on Wednesday the 21st, the World Customs Organization finished its Global Shield Symposium, where experts from around the world gathered to tackle the growing threat of improvised explosive devices. The event emphasized the need for countries to work together more closely, especially in sharing information and tracking materials that could be used to make these devices. Participants also discussed how to better train customs officers and improve border checks. And that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. We hope you're enjoying the update. If you have questions, ideas, or feedback, send us an email at info@rorschach.com. See you next week.